We look at the Greek and Roman gods, and there's a different god to represent each aspect of the personality. Or we look at Christian traditions. For example, in the Catholic Church, there are all these different saints, all of which represent some aspect, usually some positive aspect of the personality, such as virtue or faith or generosity or compassion. And the Tibetan Buddhists, for example, have a whole pantheon themselves of bodhisattvas representing different wholesome aspects of the personality. And of course, we know that animistic cultures project onto the natural world all sorts of things, the spirit of love, the spirit of peace, the spirit of anger, the spirit of jealousy, etc. And why is this happening? This is happening because if we actually mindfully start to pay attention to what's going on in consciousness, we start to notice that there isn't one individual there, but rather there's quite a variety of parts, if you will, or subpersonalities interacting with each other. And many therapeutic schools have noticed this. Jung, certainly, in his description of the anima and the animus and the shadow and the persona and the like, was describing these different parts. Roberto Assagioli, psychosynthesis, deals with these different parts. And in a more modern context, Dick Schwartz, having developed internal family systems, helps these parts to talk to one another. Once we start to do more mindfulness practice, we start to see that these separate parts are really quite distinct. And next slide, there's a question, how was your meditation? My friend Trudy Goodman puts it this way. She says, well, there was part of me trying to attend to the breath, part of me fantasizing about the future, a part of me judging myself. We better ask the committee, because it doesn't feel as though there's simply one person in there. Now, this has enormous implications for psychotherapy, because when we reject one part of our personality, one behavioral pattern, one set of feelings, we get ourselves into trouble. Let me give you an example. We're going to describe this in terms of Jung's shadow, so that slide, please. If I like to think of myself as being generous, hardworking, and intelligent, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with my greedy, lazy, and dumb side. And every time I do something that makes me feel greedy, lazy, or dumb, I'm going to get all defensive or self-punitive about it. Or worse, if I'm in an interpersonal interaction and the other person does something that highlights this aspect of my experience or my personality, I'm going to get all defensive and hostile toward them. It's not going to go well. In fact, identifying with some parts of the personality while eschewing others is actually a mild form of dissociation. Our defensiveness causes us to block out parts of our experience. And in so doing, we wind up being disconnected from important parts of ourselves and always being in a sense of defensive stress or tension as we're blocking these things out.